And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with Facts podcast. I'm your host, No Love, and today, a little late, but we are going to be talking about the NCAA top 16 seeds that got revealed by the selection committee. We are approaching March. March 1st is Sunday, and which means this upcoming Sunday we will be 2 weeks away from the selection show. Uh, it was a big weekend in college basketball, excuse me. We will talk about Duke beating Michigan, handing Michigan their second loss of the season. We will also be talking about underhanded Arizona taking control of the Big 12. We will also be talking about some teams that are surging. Tennessee upsetting Vandy being one of them. We'll also talk about the chaos in the Big 12, some bubble talk, and if we have time at the end, we'll talk about the NBA because the West and the East standings are getting very interesting. Right here on the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Okay, now let's get into it. March Madness release, or the chair of the committee released the top 16 seeds as of Saturday. Again, because of losses made by a lot of teams this past weekend and even on Monday night, Houston's lost 3 in a row. A lot probably has changed in that room. Here is what we got. Number 1 overall, Michigan. The number 2 overall one was Duke. The number 3 overall one was Arizona. The number 4 overall one, I can't believe I'm saying this. Well, I can, was Iowa State. Yes, Iowa State got, according to the committee, was the 4th overall 1 seed. I'll go over everything there. I'll go over everything after I get done reading this. That's what we'll do. The fifth, coming in 5th, the 2 seed. This is 2 line. It goes UConn, Houston, Illinois, Purdue. That's the 2 line. The 3 line, Florida, Kansas, Nebraska, and Gonzaga. The 4 line, Texas Tech, Michigan State, Vanderbilt, Virginia. That's the 4 line. 2 teams that they mentioned who were in contention but just missed the cut were Arkansas and Alabama. I'm surprised they didn't mention St. John's, considering even before, I know when they did it, they won 12 in a row. But even before Saturday's big win, they've won 13 in a row. And to be honest, they're playing top 10 basketball right now. And you look at their record now. I know the Big East, I guess in terms of the quad 1 wins, I guess you'll look at, it's not great. But in terms of the top 16, I really have no problem with it. They talked about the injuries and how they looked at that. So Texas Tech was on the 3 line, but when they heard about the severity of JT Toppin's injury, they obviously dropped him down to the 4 line, which makes sense. So what I'm going to assume is Gonzaga was probably on the 4 line, and they jumped, because I can't imagine Nebraska being on the 4 line at the time. I know they struggle a little bit, but Yeah, I feel like, especially because Gonzaga was it's the last three seed, so they're very close to jump to four. Look, the top three, you knew what the top three were going to be. Each case each one had a case. I right now the number one overall seed is Duke because he obviously beat Michigan, which we'll talk about that game. And number two overall right now, Arizona and Michigan. That's an interesting debate. I believe Arizona can get that number one overall back just because they'll have more opportunities in the rest of the Big 12 schedule and then the Big 12 tournament. They'll have more opportunities than probably Duke. And maybe Michigan. I mean, look, we'll see with that. In terms of the two line, I thought it was really close. I thought you could have made a case for Houston, and with Iowa State beating them, I think that probably switched them. I really thought Houston was going to get the fourth one. It did not turn out that way, or not Houston, but I thought UConn was gonna get the fourth one. I thought even after the Creighton loss, they keep them there. They didn't. Um, right now. Again, that one line is going to be so crucial because when you look at the regions, here's the Midwest region. One is Michigan, two is Houston, three Florida, four Virginia. That's Chicago, Illinois. The East region, Washington, D.C., one Duke, two Illinois, three Kansas, four Vanderbilt. The South region, Houston, Iowa State, UConn, Nebraska, Texas Tech. San Jose, California, obviously the West region. Arizona, Purdue, Gonzaga, Michigan State. Now I want to kind of those are the four regions. I want to go to Houston. They need to start winning some games, and they're probably going to have to win the Big 12 tournament to get to that fourth one slot. Because again, if you get to that, Houston, Texas, get to the Sweet 16, you have a good home advantage. Duke will probably be in the East region no matter what. As long as they don't fall off a cliff, they'll be a one and they'll be in the East region. Michigan, same thing, they'll be in Chicago, most likely. Obviously, Arizona, they'll want to be in California for the West region. Also, I think that region, if Gonzaga can stay at three right now, and they put them in that region because they're on the West Coast, that favor them as well. If you're Illinois, though, I guess because Michigan's a one, I guess because Michigan's a one, they don't want to put two Big Ten teams as a one and two in that same region, is what I'm guessing. And the reason I'm saying that is because if they were from what I'm looking at here, if they were the sixth number two, so if they were number six on the overall, which means they were the second two seed, they'd be in Chicago. And obviously this isn't official. Obviously, I'm just saying this is preview. They'd be in Chicago, and obviously the loss to UCLA doesn't help. Which again, that'd be big for Illinois if they could get in that Midwest region, because if they're going to have a huge home base there, huge advantage there. But overall, top 16, like it. Some interesting things. I think Virginia should have been above Vanderbilt in terms of the overall seeding. I thought Vanderbilt might be a five. They're a five now, definitely. I think, to be honest, in terms of a four, I if I were going to switch one, it would be Vandy, and it'd probably be for an Arkansas or St. John's, one of those two. I think I I think they got the ones right. I thought they got the two line right. Uh You could make an argument for Florida or Kansas on the two line. I think uh again against Illinois and Purdue, but Purdue got some great wins, so obviously no question about it. They're on a two line, the three line, no issue. Honestly, actually, Gonzaga being on the three lines kind of I, I probably will switch Gonzaga and Texas Tech if I'm going to be honest. I think Gonzaga should be on four line because Texas Tech, I mean, some of their wins this season, I get it. JT Toppin injured, but But overall, I have no problem with the men's top 16 seeds. Obviously, that is subject. Everything is subject to change when it comes to that. Okay, now let's go to college basketball this past weekend. We're starting it off hot. We're going to start with some bubble talk here. That's what we're going to start with. Some bubble talk. And mainly I'm going to the net for this because this is the last week of fully like regular just straight regular season basketball games. Obviously some of the smaller conference tournaments start next week, which means you'll see some automatic bids in who gets into March. And then the big conference tournaments start the week after that. And then we'll really get the field. To me, some in some of the bubble teams. I'm looking at Indiana and how they got blown out. Right now, I think they're still decent. I think they're still okay to be in the field. I don't think they're like solidified, but I do think they're okay as of right now to be in the field. Obviously, of these next four: Northwestern, Minnesota, Michigan State, Ohio State. You got three of your next four at home. If they win all four, which I do think is very plausible, they're in the dance. I think if they win three of four, it gets tight. Probably have to win a game in the Big Ten tournament to be sure. If you go 2-2, if they go 2-2, then they're gonna have to make a run in the Big Ten tournament. But I think there's no excuse for them to not go 3-1 or 4-0. I think the Ohio State one. Speaking of Ohio State, they're on the bubble. Ohio State has no quad one wins. There has never been a team that has had not one quad one win in the tournament. They are 0-9. They're 7-1 in quad two. In terms of upcoming their quad one games, they've got Iowa tomorrow night. Then they've got Purdue at home on Sunday. Then they've got two quad two games to end the season. You gotta, at some point, you have to be able to get a quad one win. At some point, you have to be able to get one. And if you cannot get one, you're not going to the NCAA tournament. When the committee looks at resumes, the committee, yes, your net ranking and stuff matters. Yes, your metrics matter, but they're looking at who did you beat. And I know North Carolina got in last year with one quad one win. It shouldn't have happened. Xavier got in as well. Again, Xavier beat Creighton, Marquette, and UConn. Don't know how they only have one quad one win, but that's whatever. That's the system. The point is that's rare. If you have none, you ain't getting it. Unless you are Miami of Ohio, who is just absolute because of the conference they play in. It doesn't give them in. They may go undefeated and win the MAC tournament, and they may get an automatic bid that way. So that doesn't even count. In a power conference, if you do not have a quad one win, I don't care. You should not be allowed in the NCAA tournament. Simple as that. With the amount of opportunities that this metric system is now giving you to in the quad ones and all that, to not have one this late in the season, and I know they've come really close. Come on, bro. Okay. Some other teams on the bubble, I think Santa Clara, they're a last four in. New Mexico's a last four in. Things are very much getting interesting. The one thing I'll say about the bubble is if you are on the bubble, there's no difference between you and that real other team. In terms from a talent perspective, uh from a resume perspective, I maybe not. I mean, again, like I'll say it, Indiana Ohio State, there's no real difference in the two teams. They're both flawed. But I would say this, I mean, Indiana's quad one, depending on what Wisconsin does, I mean, it already looks better, and it's like they're like 2-10. I mean, if Wisconsin gets it to the top 30, that's a quad one, so that's three compared to Ohio State's. Like that would be Ohio State's one. So I mean, there's no real difference with the bubble. That's the thing. That's the thing. If you're on the bubble, you have to get off it. You really want to separate yourself. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about these teams coming down stretch. Like if you're Indiana, you've got 4 winnable games here. Win off because if you're 21-10 and 12-8 in the conference, you are going to the NCAA, and that's like what 2 more quad one wins because on the road at Ohio State, and you would be Michigan State. Now you have like 4 quad one wins. 5, you have no bad losses. You're separating yourself. That's the thing. When you are on the bubble, you have to find a way to separate yourself. So when selection Sunday comes and you're sweating, like to me, when you're on the bubble and you're sweating, there's no difference between you and that other team. The committee is just picking, okay, do we like their resume more? Do we like their body of work? Do we like their metrics more? That's what it comes down to, ultimately. So when I look at these bubble teams, again, there are teams that get left out every year that can win a game in the tournament, but that's not the criteria. The criteria is, do you have a good enough resume? Do you have good enough metrics? Who did you beat to where we should allow you to play in the dance? It'll be interesting to see coming down the stretch. It's going to be about who you beat. Plain and simple. We're getting down to that. We're getting down to that. Now, bubble no more. Let's talk about the big dogs. Duke, the Blue Devils. John Shire does it again. Duke beats Michigan in DC. They beat them 68-63. This was an outstanding game. Back and forth. Take a punch. Give a punch. Heavyweight battle. The difference in the game was the guards of Duke played better. We talked about it. The guard play. Who's going to play? Isaiah Evans and Caleb Foster play better than Cadeau and Burnett. Cadeau was not good. Burnett didn't score. Michigan got a lot of good looks that they couldn't put down. They were 6 of 25 from 3. Again, if Michigan's going to want to win the national championship, I will say it when it comes down to the tournament, it's all going to depend on your guard play. And no matter how great Lindenborg, Mara, and Johnson are, if your guards do not play well or have an off night, you could go home. That's the reality. So when I'm watching this game, I'm just thinking, man, Duke, they're making the right plays. Hit Isaiah Evans hit a couple, even though he struggled, he had a couple big time threes. Caleb Foster played really well. Obviously, Cameron Boozer, he had a good stat line at 19, 10, and 7. Played really well. I thought from a defensive standpoint, because Michigan wants to get out and run. I thought Duke did a great job making it a half court game. It wasn't a frenetic pace up and down the whole entire way. I really thought that Duke did a good job of that because, again, in the half court, Duke is one of the best defensive teams ever in the country. And so when they could get it again, up and down, that's not the that's not the pace that they want to play at. Michigan, they they could play at that pace. I mean, yes, can they play at the half court pace? Yeah, but that's not where they're at their best, in my opinion. When they're running and you got Lindenborg's versatility, and then, oh, you know what? You stop the fast break, we could dump it in quickly tomorrow. Morez Johnson. I just thought Duke did a great job in terms of fast breaks, and I thought they did an okay job in the turnover department. I mean, they had 11. I mean, it's not great, but I thought ultimately the guards were the biggest difference for this win. That was the biggest difference in the game. Michigan's bench was okay. Gale, Kinney, then Michigan did not shoot the ball well. And so you're looking back and you're saying it only shot 40%, was 6 of 25 from three, and their threes we usually knock down. You know, look, it's February. It's a tough loss, but there's a good chance we could be seeing this team again in April in the national championship. They're both that good. I'd sign up. I'd sign up to see that game again tomorrow. That game was really fun. But obviously Michigan, they're going to be kicking themselves. Missed a lot of open shots. Duke played very well on the defensive side floor. Cam Boozer just made big plays when they needed it, and Duke gets the win, and that's why they're the new number one. But to me, that was even the most impressive win of the weekend. Arizona on the road, no compete against, at the time, the number 2 team in the country, the Houston Cougars. They, without Arizona without their best player, they come up big. How about Anthony Del Rosso? 34 minutes, 22 points. He was massive. Massive. He had 22 off the bench. He's the only one that scored off the bench. He had a big day. Burries didn't have the biggest day. Bradley was okay, but De La Rosa, I mean, every time you needed a big shot, they got it. Houston down. What killed them in this game was down the stretch, they couldn't hit a bucket. I mean, you shoot 36% from the field, 31% from three. That's hideous. They can't have that. They just didn't shoot the ball well at all. Flemings didn't. Sharp didn't. I got to give Arizona's defense some credit. They were fantastic against Houston. But Houston just, even if they got an offensive rebound and they kicked it out, couldn't make a shot. They could not make a shot. And so So Houston in this game, I said it. I thought this game would be a dogfight, and it was. But I said if this would be high scoring, and I guess I don't want to say it was totally high scoring, but I liked Arizona if they can get into that 75 to 80 threshold. Maybe they got to 73, and obviously that was enough, won by 7, and Arizona takes back control of the conference, and this was the game. I'm telling you, I think Arizona's gonna win this conference. Now I thought things got interesting, but with some of the chaos in the Big 12 that's happened over the past couple days, I mean Houston. This is being recorded on Tuesday. Houston lost last night to Kansas. Uh, I genuinely don't know what to do with Kansas, to be honest. And I guess we could just go to them getting upset by Cincinnati. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with Kansas. I can't. Darren Peterson was on the floor for the full 40 minute. Well, not the full 40 minutes, but he was on the floor. He didn't sit out unless self put him down on the bench. They look like they hadn't played with Darren Peterson at all. Like it was bad. But then obviously last night they win at home against Houston on Monday night. I don't know what to do with Kansas. They're the Peterson availability. You lose to Cincinnati. You lose on the road to Iowa State, both by double figures. In games you just don't play well, but then you beat Arizona at home, you beat Houston. I don't know what to do with Kansas. I don't know what to do with them. And what's funny is if they don't lose to Cincy, they're a game back of Arizona right now and have a good chance to win the Big 12 because they play them again. I genuinely don't know what to do with them. Like I don't know what to do with that team. Uh, look, I'm looking at Kansas. I'm looking at Badunga. I'm looking at Council. Obviously, when Pearson's there, they're a very good team. White thing, things getting. I know I talk about Kansas a lot right now. I just think they're one of the most intriguing teams in the country, regardless of the situation. I really just believe they are a very a very interesting team because sometimes do they play better without Darren Peterson? Do they not? I just think at times they are interesting. But I do want to talk about Cincinnati from this standpoint. I do want to talk about them because I feel like I look at Cincinnati and they've won 4 in a row now. And that they were 11-12, and Wes Miller in the tunnel talking about guys deserve better. This is not what our program is about. Look, they beat UCF by 20. UCF is a good ball club. Then they stomp Kansas State, which gives Jerome Tang, obviously he's out the door. They barely beat Utah, and then they beat Kansas. They've got Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, BYU, and TCU coming up. TCU, another team that's on the bubble, barely lost to UCF, but barely survived against West Virginia. They're a team that's going to be in. That's fine for their tournament homes. Is Cincinnati going to the tournament? I don't think so still, but it gets interesting because the way they played how about Mustafa Diam with 28 points and 8 boards? Just incredible. Can't. They talked about Kansas. Self talked about how his team just didn't have the energy and they came out flat. They did. So props to Wes Miller and getting it right. Props to them. Seriously, they've playing very good basketball right now. Uh, to win 4 in a row, we'll see what they do against Texas Tech. Have they turned the corner, or is this just Wes Miller saving his job? Look, I don't know. We'll see, but overall, I do believe that's a big time win for the program. Very good win for the Bearcats. Now, let's talk about BYU upsetting Iowa State. A AJ Dabonsta masterclass. 40 points. He played all 40 minutes. And at home, they shocked the Cyclones. And this is why BYU is going to be a tough draw. Because they've got that guy, number 3, AJ Dabonsta. Because they got that guy. And when you have a player like AJ Dabonsta, I don't care who you're playing. You've got a chance. They've got a chance. Because he is the BYU offense. So look, it's going to be interesting what type of draw they get in the tournament. Again, massive win. Again, you lose. I keep saying it again. You lose Richie Saunders for the season like a week ago, and then you come out and you compete. You've competed obviously your tail off against Arizona. You can't get it done though because Arizona obviously really really good basketball team. But then you come back at home and beat a team that in terms of Iowa State, they have been white hot. Look, they came into the game 23-3, coming off the win against Houston, and you beat them by 10 in Dabasta in 40 minutes. In 40 minutes, he had 29, 10, and 9. He was incredible. He is the reason that BYU will have a shot to knock somebody off the in the NCAA tournament, and why BYU is a team you just don't want to play. You just don't want to play them because of him. In terms of Iowa State, it's a tough loss. Momcilovic didn't shoot the greatest. Uh, Lipsy, they were okay. It's just they got beat by a special performance by the balanced. Their next four, it's Utah, Texas Tech, Arizona. They play in Arizona State. If they want to at least get a share, you gotta hope Arizona drops one of these games, one of these Final Four. You gotta hope they go 2-2, and you guys go 4-0, I believe, to get a share. Yes, because you have 4 losses to get a share of the Big 12. Because let's be real, you're not winning it outright unless Arizona just absolutely collapses and falls off the cliff. That's not happening. Also, some teams that are surging. Tennessee upsets Vandy. Tennessee has been rolling as of late. Tennessee right now they're fourth, so they will have I believe, a triple bye in the SEC tournament. They've won four in a row. Alabama surging, winning six in a row under Nate Oates. I know the Bediako situation, whatever's tough. Offensively, they've figured something out. Obviously, their guards, I mean, they're just playing from an offensive perspective. Phelan, Holloway, they're just playing at a high level right now. They went on the road, won at LSU. Again, just they're playing very good team basketball, and they are white hot. Another team that's surging is Florida. Obviously, we've talked about it. Florida, they've won seven in a row. Florida, I think, just establishing the roles. Mainly, they played a hard non-con too. I think the guards are playing better, but I think just when you talk about establishing the roles and knowing what each guy needs to do, last year it was clear, and you saw obviously they got to roll and end up winning the national championship. This year, I think it took more time to get going to get those roles established, but once they did, it's been off to the races. A team that's hotter than them, though, St. John's has won 13 games in a row, which is the biggest win streak since like the biggest win streak in 41 years. St. John's is going to be a problem, man. Zuby Ejiofor may be the Big East player of the year. Play hard. Their guards, they're really smart with the ball. Obviously, Bryce Hopkins, really good. They can rebound. They're tough. Look, I know the Big East is not like the conference that you look to and be like, oh, it's the strongest. I get it. But I do think, I don't care what conference you're in, to win 13 in a row and to only have one loss this deep into the conference, into the conference schedule, in a conference like the Big East, that's impressive. That is very impressive. Now, since we have a little bit of time remaining here, let's talk some NBA. Saturday on Saturday night, the Knicks came back to beat the Rockets. Just quick little thing on these two teams. I don't believe the Rockets can win the championship. I just don't think offensively they're good enough in the half court. I think them not having a reliable point guard's gonna kill them. Just when you look at it. You saw it. You saw it. The Rockets don't run offense. Like it's just like give the ball to KD, give the ball to Shingun, and let them isolate. And I feel like that's just in the playoffs, that's not going to work. Defense, you're playing the best of the best, and the defenses are just going to be too good in the Western Conference. They don't have enough shooting on perimeter shooting on the floor. Look, you saw it. They kept leaving Tyrese wide open, and he kept breaking. And Amen Thompson's perimeter game is not developed yet. And I know they're trying to win a championship, so you're speeding up these guys' timelines so they're developing. They're not there yet. Look, they're what? Looking at this, they're the third seed in the Western Conference. But I genuinely do not think, can they win a series? Yes. Can they maybe make the conference finals? Depending on matchups, yes. Will they beat San Antonio? Well, that will require them beating San Antonio, so I don't know. But I just don't think if they face OKC, I think what would do them in is, yes, even though they play physical defense, and we saw what happened in a couple of the earlier matchups, how physical that game was. I just don't think they have enough offense. I just don't think they're going to have enough offense. Looking at the Knicks, I mean, the Knicks here, I don't know what to tell you. With the Knicks. Knicks are good. Knicks' toughness came into play. They're able to find a way to win that game. A part of me wants to be like the Rockets gave it away because it did kind of feel like that, but also the Knicks had to do something to go and get it. Just looking at the standings in the East, Pistons 1, Celtics 2, Knicks 3, Cavs 4, Toronto 5, Philly 6. That's the play-in 7 Orlando, 8 Miami, 9 Atlanta, 10 Charlotte. In the West, 1 is OKC, 2 is San Antonio, 3 is Houston, 4 is Denver, 5 is the Lakers. Wow. 6 is Minnesota, 7 is Phoenix, 8 is Golden State. Golden State doesn't have Steph Curry right now. 9 is Portland, 10 is the Clippers. Very interesting. In the West, that if you're comparing the West to the East playing, look, the East playing, same teams. Charlotte's new, but it's really going to be same teams. West playing's very interesting. With between Phoenix, Golden State, Portland, and the Clippers. Obviously, the Kawhi Leonard's playing great. Portland, it got a young team. The Warriors are just trying to get Steph back, and the Suns. Very interesting. I think a Houston Minnesota matchup would be very interesting in how they guard Ant. Denver and the Lakers. Obviously, we know how that's gone in years past. Obviously, Lou. Good. The one thing that would concern me is, bro, they ain't got nobody for Jokic. Nobody's guard. The Lakers ain't got nobody for Jokic. Aiden, don't make me laugh. Uh, that that's not that will be a tough matchup. Now Denver's been sliding a little bit, so they got to figure it out, mainly on the defensive end. They obviously got to get back more healthy as well, but I do think that would be a 6-game series. Look, in the East, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I got no idea who win in the East. I think it's Detroit's East. I think it's Detroit's East to lose, right? They're my pick right now. But I'm looking at Boston, I'm like, does Boston I don't think Boston has enough. New York, are they tough enough? Cleveland, again, it's are they tough enough? And will Harden give you enough games? Toronto, I don't think they're good enough. Philly, I don't know what they are. And then we're not even getting into the play-in. Again, in terms of these playoffs are going to be so interesting because you don't truly know. In the West, I could say OKC's coming out, but I don't know that. Again, OKC, they've got comp. I mean, they've had trouble with San Antonio this year. Denver, when healthy, I think is a viable threat to them. Minnesota's given them trouble in the regular season this year. So again, it shall be interesting. But this has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.